Have you ever seriously daydreamed about winning big, like life-changing lottery money, a brand new car, something huge? Well, today, we're diving into some frankly unbelievable stories from people who say they did just that. And here's the twist. They claim it wasn't random luck at all, but the focused power of their own minds. Let's kick things off with a wild story from the casino floor. Okay, so get this. Picture yourself at a casino. You're out of cash, you've just borrowed 20 bucks from a friend, and people are literally telling you, hey, maybe it's time to go home. But instead of leaving, you just smile and say, nope, I'm the luckiest person in the universe. And then, moments later, bam, an $11,000 jackpot hits. This isn't some movie script. This is a real story from one of our sources.
And the stories just keep coming. In another account, someone was struggling financially when they got the news their long-lost biological father had won the lottery, and a huge chunk of money was headed their way. But here's the mind-blowing part. They say they had pictured that exact bizarre scenario playing out right before it actually happened.
So what is going on here? How did they do it? Are these just crazy one-in-a-million coincidences? Or could there be a pattern, a repeatable method to this kind of incredible luck? That's what we're going to unpack in this explainer. We're going to break down the common threads and the specific techniques these winners all seem to use. The first thing that pops up in every single one of these stories, the absolute foundation for everything else, is belief. But as you're about to see, we're not just talking about wishful thinking here. This is a very specific, very powerful kind of belief. It's the bedrock.
And this is maybe the most important distinction we need to make. All the sources are incredibly clear on this point. There's a huge difference between wanting to win something and just deeply, unshakably knowing that you've already won it. It's a total flip of your mindset. You go from a feeling of lack, of needing it, to a feeling of complete and total ownership.
I mean, this quote from someone who's won a bunch of competitions just says it all, right? The mindset they're talking about has nothing to do with hoping for the future. It's about feeling, right now, in this moment, that the win is already a fact. They say they don't even see it as a competition, because in their mind, the outcome is already locked in.
This all leads to an idea some sources call abundance consciousness. And the core of it is pretty simple. Stop focusing on what you don't have. Instead, you start acting like you're already wealthy. For example, one source says you should be genuinely happy when you spend money, whether it's paying a boring bill or buying yourself a coffee. It reinforces the feeling that, yeah, there's always more where that came from.
So once you've got that foundation of belief locked in, then you move on to the next part. This is the active technique that nearly every single winner talks about. Detailed visualization. And trust me, this is way more than just spacing out and daydreaming. Let me give you a great example from back in 2007. A college student enters a raffle to win a brand new laptop. A massive prize for a student. But she didn't just cross her fingers and hope she'd win. According to her story, she just knew it was already hers. And this right here is the secret sauce. She didn't just see a laptop. She imagined and, more importantly, felt all the emotions of having it. She pictured herself looking cool and professional, what it would feel like. She says she was totally obsessed and overwhelmed with emotions of already having it. And what do you know? Her ticket was the one they pulled from the bag.
And it's not just about winning physical stuff either. This same principle seems to apply to winning experiences. One person claims they won not one, but two separate luxury holidays using a really specific visualization method.
So here's another winner who, get this, twice won a vacation doing this. What was their process? They would just stare at photos of the place and vividly imagine themselves right there in the picture. And they make it super clear. The most important part, in all caps, is the feeling. That pure excitement, like they'd already gotten the phone call saying, congratulations, you won. All right, this next story, this one takes preparation and belief to a completely different level. The goal here was a brand new car. It was the grand prize in a huge competition with like 30,000 other students. This is absolutely wild. As soon as this person found out they were in the top 5, they didn't just visualize winning. They went home and made a full-blown PowerPoint presentation for their acceptance speech. We're talking pictures, music, a whole list of people to thank. The night of the event, they actually brought the USB stick with the presentation on it in their purse, and when they actually called her name as the winner, she was so exciting she completely forgot she even had it.
Okay, so you've built the belief. You've done the deep, emotional visualization. But now comes the weirdest, most counterintuitive, and, according to these stories, most important part of the whole thing, you have to let it all go. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up, right? If you want something that much, how on earth are you supposed to just forget about it? Well, the sources suggest that obsessing, worrying, constantly checking to see if you've won, that actually works against you. Why? Because it keeps you in a state of not having it yet, which is the exact opposite of the feeling you're trying to create.
This story is just a perfect example of that letting go in action. This person was trying everything to manifest money for a car, but they felt completely stuck. So they just gave up. They stopped the meditations, the visualizations, the whole shebang. Just 5 days later, that crazy scenario they'd imagined, their father winning the lottery, actually happened. So, how do you actually do it? How do you let go? Well, the sources seem to lay out a pretty clear path. First, you ask for it with total belief, knowing it's on its way. Second, you feel it. You celebrate as if it's already here, enjoying that feeling right now. Third, you get busy. You dive into other parts of your life, which shows that you have faith it's being taken care of. And finally, you just forget it. You release the desire completely, trusting that it's all handled.
So, after hearing all these stories and all these techniques, we are left with the one massive question. What is actually happening here? Is this all just a bunch of happy accidents and people remembering the hits and forgetting the misses? Or is something way more profound going on?
From what we can gather, it really boils down to two dominant theories for why this stuff might work. On one side, you've got a straight-up psychological explanation, and on the other, a much more metaphysical one. Let's just lay them both out, nice and neutral.
So, the psychological argument is basically this. These techniques are a really powerful form of self-hypnosis or mental reprogramming. When you visualize success and you truly believe you're a winner, you're literally changing your subconscious self-image. That new self-image then changes your behavior, it boosts your confidence, it makes you spot opportunities you would have missed, and all that makes you more likely to actually succeed.
But the metaphysical view, well, it takes things a giant leap further. This perspective, which runs through a lot of these stories, suggests that your thoughts themselves are a creative force in the universe. So the idea isn't just that you're changing your own behavior. It's that your mind is directly interacting with and literally shaping the world around you, pulling in events and circumstances that match what you're thinking and feeling.
So whether it's all about reprogramming your own brain to act like a winner, or it's about sending out some kind of vibration that actually shapes reality, the patterns in these stories are, you have to admit, pretty fascinating. Which leaves us with the final question for you. What do you believe? Is this a psychological toolkit for building confidence, or is it a peek into a much deeper connection between our minds and the world itself? Ultimately, the answer's up to you.